Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Welcome to Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
There are some interesting specials available at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart while stocks last. Take advantage of these specials as they assist you to stretch your limited funds.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Need a personal integrity booster shot? Your prescription is right here. Tune in with Eddie Frederick every week. Information is power.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Eddie Frederick, where good values make great radio.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
You know, it seems like, just the other day, the month had started. And today is the last Sunday of June. Could you imagine that? We are getting old. And that is why I wonder sometimes, when you see people behaving same old, same old, same old, no change at all, you tend to wonder about them, that we are all going to die just now. And yet, for all, so many people behave the same old way, no growth, no development, no progress. Woo, that has to be a hard life. That has to be a hard life. Every day mired in mawet and just confusion. Something's got to be wrong with that life. Anyhow, welcome to Edification 273 for the 5th and final Sunday of June 2025. As Grenada moves swiftly into the 4th year of freedom from the old nastiness and crew whose leadership have actively helped Grenadians to descend into this dark abyss of dependency and entitlement. So much so, a large swath of them being relegated to the quadrant of poor and vulnerable. As you enter the room today, please, don't forget, folks, to share. Hit that share button. Comment, like, love, interact as you usually do. It's always a pleasure to have you. Of course, our angel number for this week is 273. It's a blend of the energies and vibrations of the numbers 2, 7, and 3. Number 2, of course, resonates with balance, harmony, partnership, diplomacy, intuition, faith, and trust. Number 7 is associated with spiritual awakening, development, psychic abilities, inner wisdom, mysticism, and of course, spiritual enlightenment. While, of course, number 3 relates to creativity, self-expression, joy, optimism, expansion, growth, and of course, manifestation. Together, these numbers combine to form a powerful message from your angels that your efforts and intentions will manifest positive outcomes. Trust in your intuition and, of course, your inner guidance to lead you towards the desired path in life. Believe in yourself and your abilities and trust that the universe is conspiring in your favor. Our topic that guides today's discourse is none other than we are not born to make friends. Hello? We are not born to make friends, but to set the place on fire and walk through the smoke. We are not born to make friends, but to set the place on fire and walk through the smoke. That statement, folks, is a defiant, almost Nietzschean declaration of purpose, one that prioritizes impact over approval, legacy over likability, and of course, self-determination over social conformity. To fully unpack it, let's dissect its layers of meaning, implications, and of course, contradictions. We are not born to make friends, and that's as clear as that statement can be. Let that sink in, folks. In my case, I have been living far too long for my focus at this mature stage in my life to be about making friends. We have to learn to reject the tyranny associated with likability. You see, society conditions us to seek validation through friendship, alliances, and social harmony. But this line challenges that particular premise. What if your destiny isn't to be agreeable, but to be transformative? You see, historical parallels. Visionaries like Nietzsche, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Steve Jobs, your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life. Or Marina Abramovich, whose art demanded isolation and discomfort, often alienated others to fulfill their missions. You see, there's a modern trap we have to be careful of. Social media amplifies the pressure to be liked. Yet true innovation rarely comes from a committee. And of course, you know what I say. I recall this saying, for God so loved the world that he never sent a committee. He sent his only begotten Son. I want to put that in the comment section for those of you who would like to refer to it and actually, remember it, because it is very profound. For God so loved the world that he never sent a committee. He sent his only begotten Son. But folks, connection and connecting come at a cost. Never forget that. You see, friendship requires compromise. Greatness often demands ruthlessness. A founder who pivots a company against popular opinion, Elon Musk, firing Tesla's executives to save the company, or an artist who abandons commercial appeal, Kendrick Lamar. Remember the To Pimp a Butterfly initially baffled fans. Set the place on fire, folks. You see, the mindset of an arsonist is very important here. But let's be careful. Fire here is a metaphor for disruption, burning down outdated systems, complacency, or even mediocrity. Some things backward societies cherish and go out of their way to preserve in the name of traditions. Creative destruction. The economist Joseph Schumpeter's idea that progress requires demolishing the old, Blockbuster versus Netflix, traditional art versus Picasso's Guernica. Folks, literal fires, Joan of Arc, Malcolm X, or Greta Thunberg, figures who ignited movements by refusing silence. We need to induce a bit of controlled chaos here, folks. Fire isn't random. It's directed energy. To set the place on fire means strategic rebellion. Banksky's shredding his own painting at an auction. Not rebellion influenced by dunceness, or rebellion because you hurt my feelings by ignoring me, and correctly so, because I am rendered irrelevant by you. Unapologetic ambition, folks. Rihanna building Fenty after being told she wasn't marketable. Could you imagine that? Artistic combustion is also something to look at. Look at David Bowie reinventing himself into Ziggy Stardust. Some of these parallels many of you may not know because you will not read, and all you focus on are the mundane things of familiarity, which makes absolutely no sense from around the village, so you're stuck. You see, we need to walk through the smoke. And what does that really equate? It equates with the aftermath of greatness. Smoke symbolizes fallout, criticism, isolation, or collateral damage. To walk through it is to embrace the consequences of your impact. Martin Luther King Jr. was called a radical. But guess what? He was even surveilled by the FBI. Yet he marched anyway. But so did Malcolm X. Yet he revolted and did his thing anyway. In our case here in Grenada, the old nastiness pursued people who were vehemently opposed to his inferior style of governance and absolutely corrupt leadership, with him using power of state to attempt to beat them into submission. Folks, I know what I'm saying, I'm a victim. Psychological tool. Let's look for that psychological tool now. You see, genius often borders on madness. Van Gogh, Sylvia Plath. The smoke is loneliness, but also clarity. You see further when others can't see you. You see, smoke chokes, but it also obscures, giving cover to keep moving. Kanye West, his pre-controversies, said, I am Warhol. Why? I am #1 most impactful artist of our generation. Arrogant? Maybe. But he walked through decades of backlash to shape culture. What is the paradox here? Can you burn without burning out? You see, the quote glorifies individualism, but humans are wired for connection. Even Prometheus, who stole fire for humanity, was punished by the gods. Counter argument here is, look at Buddha's middle way, or Mandela's leadership, proving that fire can warm as well as destroy. You see, not everyone needs to be a wildfire. But if you're here to disrupt, accept that you leave scorched earth. And be prepared, because some will call you a villain. You have to be strong and be willing to be called a villain to leave a proper legacy. Not a legacy of thieving, not a legacy of bubble, corruption, nepotism, vengeance, and such negative like. Oh no! While you project these negatives, these nasty things on your successors because they seem too much for you alone to handle or to carry. You did the crime and enjoyed the spoils over the years of your crime. You will pay with your time left on earth. What a doomed legacy indeed. Self-created from 1972 to the present. You see, a call to arson isn't a mantra for sociopaths or fools, or even the ingrained arrogant. It is for those who feel the itch of a higher purpose. For the entrepreneur, your startup might fail and friends might fade, but the plan, rebuild in the smoke. For the artist, if your work doesn't unsettle, it is art. For you, what's the fire you're suppressing to keep the peace? A lot of you try to keep the peace, and in the process, what do? You out your own fire. Watch it. You see, the world is built by those who dare to light the match, not those who stand in the crowd, waving at the flames after the fact, like we are seeing here through destructive, self-serving creeps who wish good people bad just because they themselves have no balls to vaunt their authenticity. I don't have to soften the message, nor do I need to double down at all. It is what it is. Folks, what is true friendship though? You see, true friendship, the rare fire that warms without burning. The quote, we are not born to make friends, but to set the place on fire and walk through the smoke. That quote suggests that greatness demands solitude. But is that the whole truth? What if real friendship isn't about holding you back, but about being the oxygen that feeds your fire? You see, here's the paradox. The most transformative people in history rarely acted alone. Even the fiercest flames need wind to spread. You see, true friendship? True friendship is nothing but a mirror. It's not a crutch. A real friend does not cheer for you. They see you, even the parts you hide. You see, Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera were tumultuous lovers, but their friendship forced each other to create brutally honest art. Isn't that interesting? Counter to this particular finding, if you're only setting fires, who tells you when you're burning the wrong things? You must have a genuine friend to say, no, not that. Not here, it's there. Very, very important, folks. You see, true friendship is loyalty without possession. Most relationships demand conformity. Be less intense, more likable. True friendship says, burn what you justifiably must. I will stand in the smoke with you. Rarely can we find anything like that in these days, here so and now, where associations and relationships are forged merely for transactions. And that is precisely why I am contented with my line of true friends. Hardly a circle, really. a line. You see, Socrates drank hemlock, but his students, Plato, Xenophon, carried his fire forward. Friendship preserved his legacy. Think of the bond between Serena Williams and her sister Venus. Fierce rivals on the court, but allies in reshaping tennis. You see, the test, does it survive your transformation? Who cares? Fair weather friends flee when you change. Real ones adjust to your new temperature. So when Kafka asked Max Brod to burn his unpublished manuscripts, Brod refused, betraying his wish but saving his genius. But what's the irony here? You see, that quote assumes friendship is a distraction, but the right friends are the ones who hand you the match. The ultimate truth. You see, some fires are meant to be shared. Lone wolf starves. Wildfires that spread too fast burn out, but controlled burns reshape landscapes. The balance? Folks, Steve Jobs and Wozniak. Marie Curie had Pierre. Steve Jobs had Wozniak. Even Niche had Lou Salome before it imploded. You see, seek those who don't just tolerate your fire, but add fuel to it. Then walk beside you, coughing but unshaken through the smoke. True friendship isn't about people-pleasing and playing small. It's finding the rare souls who don't fear your flames, who fan it, reflect it, and sometimes even help you put out the fires that no longer serve you. The rebels who changed history rarely did it utterly alone. Maybe we are born to make friends, but guess what? Just not the kind who ask us to stay where it's safe. Would you rather have 1,000 followers or one friend who knows when to pass you the gasoline? You see, social media seldom provides genuine friends. A lot of people feel because we are connected on Facebook and whatnot, we are friends. Get that out of your skull. We're not friends. We are contacts on Facebook. We are contacts on Instagram. We are not friends. And the quicker a lot among you get that in your thick skulls is the better for a lot of you. You see, seeking friends in this virtual space shows you up as vacuous in your head. I prefer to have people hide to view my status, not react to my status, but can vouch for my authenticity and consistency, than to merely post things that are beneath my intellect just to attract likes and other forms of attention. You see, I live by the following. They avoid me because I have changed. I avoid them because they have not changed. So you see, folks, we are not born to make friends, but to set the goddamn place on fire and walk through the smoke. Let's take a little break and we'll come right back with some more.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful, and welcome back. For those of you just joining, I'd like to say thank you for joining. Thank you for coming in the room. Thank you for your contributions, your loyalty, your steadfast, consistency at viewing this program live. Do the honorable thing, hit that share button, and let's get some more people in the room. There's something I'm not doing right, and I can't get it yet, but I will eventually. I will call in my technician friend to give me a little hand. But there's something, my private page, Edward Frederick on Facebook, I'm not able to edit to get it, to choose public. To choose, the public to view instead of and to comment. Very unfortunate, but anyhow, that we will sort out. It's been going on for a couple of weeks, and I have been so busy during the week I kind of forget to deal with it. But I will remember. Having mentioned it now, I will remember to deal with that. So welcome back. So hit that share button and let's get some more people in the room. But of course, you can go on to spread the word on my public page, Eddie Frederick, just capital E, Eddie, no space, but common F, Frederick. Go onto that Facebook page. And folks, you can do some following there. If you follow that page, you'd be, because everything that is on my private page normally goes over to that public page. So you can have access to the program. So welcome back. When do you know that a friendship is over? What are the signs that were there, but you did not necessarily see? You see, when a friendship is over, the signs you missed until it's too late show you up as investing too much in the love you have capacity for. Thank God the longest prayer has amen, because you eventually catch on, don't you? Just like the longest rope has an end. You eventually catch yourself and you get with the program. Friendships don't always end with a fight or a dramatic goodbye. More often, they fade, like a fire reduced to embers, leaving you wondering, of course, what exactly did the warmth, when did it disappear? When did that warmth just vanish? But here's how we recognize the quiet death of a friendship and the subtle signs you might have overlooked. There's an energy shift. The energy shifts. And you feel it, but you got to be paying attention. If you don't pay attention, you won't feel it. You won't even notice it. You see, you used to light up when they called. Conversations flowed effortlessly. But that's then. Now, their name pops up on your phone and you feel nothing. Or worse, you feel dread. What's she calling me for? What he calling me for? But what about a missed sign? You see, you started delaying replies, telling yourself, I'll respond later. But later never comes. What about the one-way street, folks? Very important. Then you shared struggles, celebrated wins, and invested equally. Now you realized you're the only one asking, how are you? Or making plans, reaching out by way of phone calls or even texts. What was a missed sign, though? They only reached out when they need something. A vent session, a favor, ego validation. What about the emotional tax? You see, folks, listen carefully. Then, being with them felt like coming home. Like you won a bonanza. Now, you leave interactions drained, as if you've just performed emotional labor. But what was the missed sign? You started mentally preparing before seeing them, steeling yourself for negativity, gossip, or even subtle put-downs. What about the life divergence? At one time, you grew together, inspired each other, or at least understood each other's paths. Now, your values, priorities, and lifestyles clash. Not in a challenging way, but in we're strangers now we. I am sure many of you viewing me right now have had these various feelings about people that you were once very, very attached to. But what was the missed sign under the quadrant of the life's divergence? You stopped sharing big news with them because you knew they wouldn't get it or they would become jealous because you outgrew them. But folks, there's also the nostalgia trap. At one time, you had history, inside jokes, you shared scars, memories that felt sacred. Now, you're holding on only because of the past, even though the present feels very hollow. But what was a missed sign there, folks? You keep saying, remember when? Because talking about now felt forced. Because you really have nothing in common now. What about the avoidance test? At one time, you'd go out of your way to see them. Now, you realize you haven't seen them in months and you're just fine with that. What was the missed sign all along? When you do meet, it feels like an obligation, a job, no longer a joy. But the silence speaks. Even in quiet moments, the companionship then was comforting. Now, the silence between you is somewhat heavy, loaded with unsaid things, mired in disgust. But what was the missed sign? You used to talk for hours. Now texts are just, hey, long time, with no follow-up. What about that gut feeling, though? Then you trusted them completely, implicitly. Now, something feels off, but you can't pinpoint what or why. But what was the missed sign? You stopped confiding in them because deep down you knew they wouldn't hold your truth with care because they're too free with your information. So when to walk away or to let it fade? Not every friendship needs a breakup talk. Some just expire naturally. And that's when you know the trash took itself out. Don't always feel the need to break off a friendship first. Celebrate when they keep their distance and just allow, as I already said, the trash to take itself out. Less work for you. Ask yourself, does this person still see me or just the ghost of who I was? If we met today, would we still click? Do I feel lonelier with them than without them? If the answers tilt towards no, the friendship might already be over. What's the final thought here on this? You see, some friendships are seasons, others are lifelines. The hardest part isn't the end, it's realizing it ended long before you noticed. Grieve if you must, then make space for those who meet the person you have become. Because new people are out there for you. As you grow, you will meet your tribe. Because there are different people who can identify with that new level. So you are outgrowing those who resist moving up with you. So you just move on. Why in an unsophisticated society where dunceness has been normalized and celebrated, one cannot expect true friendship to flourish? You see, in a culture that glorifies ignorance, superficiality, and even conformity, deep friendship becomes nearly impossible. Not because people don't want connection or need to be connected, but because the environment actively poisons the conditions needed for it to thrive. But here's why people like me, with a modicum of sense, prefer to remain aloof in these times, here, so, and now. Friendship requires depth, but dunceness rewards shallowness. You see, true friendship demands vulnerability, intellectual curiosity, and emotional courage. A dunce culture, as very prevalent here in Grenada, influenced by the period 1995 to 2022 for the most part, mocks depth, calling it overthinking, being too serious, or not fun. You see, people hide their intelligence, suppress their thoughts, and bond only over gossip, cheap entertainment, or tribal loyalties, never over shared growth. I don't think loads of people here who celebrate talking about other people's affairs understand that gossip won't fix their life. Growth alone will. You see, in a group where ignorance is cool, admitting you love philosophy, science, and art makes you a target. I first see this, and I first see that, and I ain't really like to talk to Hina because he too serious. This time now, their whole life is based on clownery. They're just clowning around, going around in circles, getting nowhere, and will not grow, and happy to beg. You see, friendships stay stuck at the level of, did you see what he or she posted? Rather than, what do you believe in, my friend? You see, authenticity is usually punished. Conformity is celebrated. True friendship flourishes when people can be real, flaws, quirks, and unpopular opinions included. A dunce society like ours has mostly been reduced to enforces rigid social rules. You must not stand out. You must not ask hard questions. You must never challenge the group. Don't rock the boat, please. You see, everyone wears a mask, so no one ever truly knows each other. They just know the fake version of each other. Think of high school movies where the nerd is bullied for reading. Now imagine adulthood where the same dynamic persists, just with more subtlety. You see, friendships become performances, jokes, small talk, fake agreeability, rather than true bonds. But what about critical thinking as the enemy? And friendship needs critical thinking. You see, true friendship involves debate, honesty, and mutual growth. A dunce world labels disagreement as drama, skepticism as negativity, and curiosity, oh God, as terribly annoying. You see, friends become echo chambers, afraid to challenge each other, leading to stagnant, hollow relationships. And that is what Grenada has a plethora of, shallow relationships. If you question a friend's bad decisions, you're judgmental. And they don't realize just by saying you are judgmental, they are judging you. They are the ones that are judgmental. If you stay silent, you're very supportive. That's what they like. Stay quiet. No truth equals no trust. Without honesty, friendship is just politeness. You see, loyalty is misunderstood as blind obedience. True friendship means standing by someone because you respect them, not in spite of their flaws, nor because they did something good for you some time ago. A dunce culture confuses loyalty with never holding friends accountable. Toxic behavior is excused. That's just how they are. And growth is discouraged because people are afraid you leave them. You see, a friend constantly makes bad choices, but the group enables them because we don't judge. Real loyalty would involve an intervention, but that requires courage, which a dunce society lacks. What about emotional intelligence, folks? That is replaced with vibes only. You see, true friendship requires empathy, patience, and the ability to navigate conflict. A dunce world reduces emotions to, don't kill the vibe, nah. Why are you so deep? No one learns how to resolve issues. So friendships either explode or they fizzle out. So folks, instead of saying, you hurt me, let's talk, people ghost and gossip instead. Emotional shallowness, always remember, folks, equals disposable relationships. Is there hope? Of course there is, but only for those willing to defy the culture. Seek the outliers who think deeply, question freely, and refuse to celebrate ignorance. Be the kind of friend you wish you had, even if it means being called too intense. And of course, I am very intense with my friendships. That's why it's a line I have, reduced from a circle, a line. You see, accept that in a dunce society like ours has been reduced to on account of the poor leadership for most of our post-independence period. Real friendship will be rare, but that makes it even more valuable. And that is why the very few I have, I value them. You see, in a world that rewards stupidity, true friendship is an act of rebellion. It requires courage, depth, and a refusal to play dumb, which is why most people never experience it. But for those who dare, your tribe is out there. Never forget that. Keep lighting matches. Would you rather have 100 fun friends who never really know you, or one who sees through the nonsense? So folks, just bear in mind, we are not born to make friends, but to set the goddamn place on fire and walk through the smoke. Let's take a little break and we'll come back with a lot more fire here today, folks, because there's a lot more where that came from.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks, wonderful. So welcome back. And for those of you just joining, I'd like to welcome you to the program. Thanks for coming. It's always better late than dead on time. So we're happy to have you here today. Very, very happy indeed. Now, we have a lot more onions to fry. So apart from that, if you're just joining and you haven't done the honorable thing yet, do it, please. Hit that share button and let's get some more people in the room. Our subject matter today that we are discussing, very, very interesting. We are not born to make friends, but to set the goddamn place on fire and walk through the smoke. How does invasive local politics of any society help to diminish true friendship among its people? Wow, isn't that beautiful? Let's see if we could attempt to answer that as eruditely as we can. You see, invasive local politics strangles true friendship. Ask the many people whose friendships have been strangled by it right here in Grenada. You see, local politics, when it seeps too deeply into daily life, doesn't just shape policies, it rewires human relationships. In places where community leaders, neighborhood factions, or even petty bureaucrats wield excessive influence, friendship becomes collateral damage. You see, politics becomes identity, and identity demands loyalty. In hyper-politicized communities like ours, who you vote for, which local leader you support, or even which civic group you belong to can override personal bonds. Friendships get conditional under those circumstances. We can be close as long as you don't support X, or as long as you support the same thing I support. What a dunce demand. You see, a decades-long friendship fractures because one person joins a rival neighborhood association or political organization, turning what should be a minor difference into a betrayal. What about gossip as a political weapon? Trust gets eroded. You see, invasive local politics thrives on informal surveillance. Who's talking to whom? Who's attending which meeting? And who is disloyal? You see, people self-censor, fearing private conversations will be weaponized. Two friends who once confided in each other now speak in vague pleasantries, afraid to a stray comment that they might make will be reported back to the henchman of a political leader. What about social capital being equal to political capital? You see, friendship becomes transactional in that sense. In places where local leaders control jobs, permits, or favors, friendships get reduced to networking. You see, people befriend others based on usefulness, not genuine connection. Of course, by now, people in Grenada know not to even bring that nonsense near me, as I am just not interested and will make no bones to call them out on it. A small town business owner only stays close to those who can put in a good word with the zoning board, physical planning, not because they actually enjoy their company. No. Friendships in Grenada is people using people. That's what it has been reduced to now. And you see, authentic people who are blessed with the spirit of discernment, who can see these people and these tricksters and crooks from a distance. They can't cope with you because you could see right through them. And that is why people say people like me are intimidating. No, you are intimidated because of what's going on in your system when you are around me. I am not intimidating. Oh no, I am just authentic. And I could see straight through you. And that is what intimidates you. But if you were different, you wouldn't have to feel that way. You see, there's this thing called forced tribalism, the us versus them infection. You see, local politics often splits communities into camps, old families versus newcomers, one ethnic group versus another, business owners versus activists. What's the result of that? Even apolitical people get drafted into silent wars, killing organic friendships across divides. Two neighbors who once barbecued together now avoid eye contact because one is seen as aligned with the politician's faction, whoever the politician is, whether it is this National Nasty Party or the NDC or whatever else they have cropping up in and between. What about fear of backlash, the death of honest debate? In toxic political climates, disagreeing politely becomes dangerous. Friends either pretend to agree on everything or they avoid meaningful conversations entirely. A book club collapses because discussing a novel about corruption is seen as a political statement or as throwing words. You see the rise of performative allegiance? Authenticity dies. When local politics demands public displays of loyalty, attending rallies, signing petitions, displaying yard signs, private relationships get scripted. What is the result of that? Friendships become performances. People carefully curate their words to avoid suspicion. But a lifelong friend suddenly unfriends you on social media after you like a post criticizing a beloved local politician. But we'll answer the question about whether friendships can survive in these kinds of environments in a minute. But you see, folks, I have to look at the civil service situation, the public service in Grenada today, to show you how people, the civilization has deteriorated so badly. Most of the people who ran the public service in the early aftermath of independence, so to speak, 74 coming down, were generally anti-Gary people. They were GNP sympathizers. But you know what separated them from what we have today? They were professionals. They considered themselves to be working for Grenada, not for Gary, and not for Blaze, not for GULP, not for GNP. That was the difference. They followed the public service rules. They studied the rules. They knew the rules. Now you have do what you want. Any old thing goes. And people feel that is all right because that has been normalized. Look at, there's a chapter in one of Bernard Cord's books, speaking gallantly of 3 outstanding public servants of that era. Gloria Payne Banfield. Well, a matter of fact, I shouldn't say that. Dame Gloria Payne Banfield, deservedly so. Lauriston Wilson Jr., God rest his soul. And Patty Linton. Patty Linton was just an executive secretary, a personal assistant. But they got a chapter in one of Bernard Cord's books. Good? Talking about how professional they were. Interestingly, they may not have been revolutionaries at all. The revolution in the book, they had evidence to support Laurie Wilson being an anti-NJM person. Gloria Payne Banfield was always very close to Sir Eric and, of course, the Eric Gary regimes. But guess what? They were about Grenada. They were not about, I am a GLP and I will stay inside here and see if I could sabotage you. Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, under the PRG, there would have been a consequence. But they didn't have it in them. And I hope to God that some of you listening here today might just be among those that this pearl of wisdom can help to transform, because you're working for Grenada. The old nastiness is gone. That is no more. You got to work for the country and stop standing in the way of the progress of the country. Can friendship survive? Yes, but only if people prioritize humanity over politics. Only if they create neutral zones, hobbies, arts, sports, where politics is banned. Only if they refuse to let local power players manipulate their personal bonds. Final thought. Invasive local politics doesn't just corrupt governments. It corrupts souls. It turns friends into informants, neighbors into adversaries, and trust into a liability. What's the antidote? Choose loyalty to people over loyalty to factions, folks. We all need people. Ever seen a friendship destroyed by small town politics? Of course, we're seeing that here every day. Well, how did it happen? Folks, how to recognize and resist the slow poison of invasive politics on friendships. You might not have seen it yet, but if politics in your community is becoming the unspoken third party in every relationship, here's how to spot it and fight back to diminish it altogether. Let's look at the silent loyalty test. What's the sign? Suddenly, casual conversations feel like interrogations. Do you really believe that? But I heard you at X event the other day. Why? But you're not one of them, are you? Why? It kills friendship. It replaces trust with suspicion. What to do? Refuse to play. Respond with, wait, hold on. Since when did we start vetting each other? I go where I want. I'm a big man. I do what I want, as long as it's within the law. Mind your goddamn business. Straighten them out. Folks, you can put on your yellow jersey, your green jersey, and go to your meetings. I have always told people I have no problems with that. You could be the most senior civil servant and you're up front with your pom-pom shorts and your green jersey and you're right up by the stage whining like you never baptized. That's okay. But when you go to work tomorrow, do the people goddamn work. That's all I say. When you meet me on the road and we say, hey, how are you doing? What's wrong with that? You don't have to sleep by me. I don't have to sleep by you. Well, let's be civil. You see, the rumor mill runs your social life. Many of you know this because of how you react to nonsense on social media as a rule. You see, you hear whispers and internalize them before you hear truths. A friend distances himself or herself. Later, you discover someone told them you switched sides. So what? Your words get twisted and recycled as gossip, and you now have to be careful how you say things around them. But why? You really look like they are the oxygen of your life. Hell no. Be you and be authentic. Why it kills friendship? It outsources trust to the crowd. You need to watch that. But what to do? Go straight to the source. I heard you've been told things about me. Ask me directly next time. Or do like me. Withdraw altogether and love your home. Love your own company. And if you don't have a dog, get one. I have one. So I will love my dog even more. You get the message? Folks, come on. What is wrong with that? There's a rise in convenient friendships. What is a sign? People you've known for years suddenly only call when they need. Like me. The NDC one-day elections, man, my phone start lighting up. People I never hear from, I start hearing from. Well, I think they will get the message today. They never heard back from me because I never heard from them before. And hear me now in raw Creole, I don't want to hear from them now either. What are you calling me for? You hear that Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and myself are pretty close. We're friends. Yeah, so what? You looking for favors? You better find out his office number and call his personal assistant, make an appointment. I shall not be facilitating anyone because I don't need no favors for myself. You know, you have all kind of old female, well, I have to say female Drake, because the word I want to use is Drake. All these old, dirty Drake-like looking people running up their mouth about who eating our food. Why they feel people eating our food? Because their mouth dry. They're not eating the food because they're working for rent in their downstairs apartment. Rent they're working for. It's sad. Really sad, folks. And these are the type of people we have putting wedges between people. And it's very opportune for me to make this point here. Up to yesterday, I was saying it. Up to this morning, I was saying it. And don't talk about Friday. I'll talk about that a little later on. You know, you have people you've been to school with, you grew up with, you played with. You know that they were brought up the same way, a similar way, like you, with values. And they are interested in supporting this nastiness and his goons. Huh? What happened to us? Where are we going? What is this about? How you come so? For you to be supporting this kind of nonsense. I don't understand that. You lost it, you know why? Because you want to get a jump on life. So you're looking for material gain. So you're looking, you fall in line with being entitled and dependent and being transactional because you want to jump ahead. You want to get ahead. Well, how do you look? Hear how I am speaking about people with that kind of behavior. Not good. What does that do? It diminishes you. Makes you look like a goddamn fool. You're worth nothing. And you know that annoys them. But what I say is incontrovertible. They cannot contradict what I say. And as a result, they could only give me the false grin when they see me. Oh, hi, Eddie. Hi, how you doing? Because they're vexed deep down inside. You call them out. Their conscience working on them. How could you support this gang of goons? Look at the kind of mouthpieces they have representing them. Old drakes, dishonorable discharges, so to speak. Clowns. Could hardly string 10 words together. Just a lot of hate, a lot of guile, a lot of vitriol, a lot of subterfuge and counter subterfuge. That has to be, something has got to be wrong. How could you wait or you reach there to be supporting that? And you are part of that group believing they're coming to rescue Grenada from what? From decency? Something got to be wrong with y'all. Y'all are defective people, man. Something wrong. You see, a lot of them, they've become what is called transactional. Very, very transactional. Folks, what about the forced pick a side mentality? What's the sign of that? Neutrality is treated as betrayal. If you're not with us, you're against us. Friends pressure you to prove loyalty by cutting off others. Hello? Why does that kill friendship? It leaves no room for nuance. But what should you do? Reject false binaries. I don't do ultimatums. Not even in politics. What about the death of private opinions? You no longer say what you really think. You laugh at jokes you don't even find funny. You nod along to opinions you disagree with. You avoid certain topics entirely. Why it kills friendships? It replaces authenticity with total pretense and performance. But people like me, who know my authenticity is my greatest strength, will never compromise on the opportunity to make all the fake people uncomfortable and inspire fellow authentic people. But what should you do, folks? Reclaim your small truths. Actually, I see it differently. If the friendship can't handle that, it was already gone anyway. So folks, bear in mind, we are not born to make friends, but to set the goddamn place on fire and walk through the smoke. Let's take a little break and we come back with the final segment. You know where this is going, because it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter as we rise.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful. And of course, as we gather strength here to go into the final segment, let me just line up my outro so that when we're ready to leave here today, everything is copacetic. For those of you just joining, welcome. It's a plum pleasing pleasure to have you in the room. So what's this true survival strategy to avoid invasive local politics from diminishing true friendships? Find or create politics-free zones. Folks, a gym, a book club, a hobby group, anywhere where what you do matters more than who you are politically. Be a friend who asks, how are you, really? And be genuine about it. Politics thrives on dividing. Friendship thrives on seeing the whole person. Let the fakes fade. Good? Folks, stop being mad when people cut you off. The trash took itself out. Less work for you. Not every friendship is worth saving. Those who only value you for your alliances or for what they can benefit from you were never friends in the first place. Even though you may have been genuine about your friendship and association with them, they were just using you. I've been a victim of that no longer. So folks, what should you learn if you ever have to choose between a friend and a faction? If at all that moment ever comes, when loyalty to a person clashes with loyalty to a group, ideology, or local political machine, here's what the experience will teach you: who your real friends are. You see, the faction will demand absolute allegiance. A true friend will say, hey, do what you need to do. I'll be here with you. Friends respect your autonomy. Cults and toxic political groups, they just don't. The difference between belonging and brainwashing. You see, factions love conditionality. You're one of us as long as you obey. You see, friendship loves unconditionally. Unconditionally. You're you. That's why I stay. Well, what's the lesson here? You see, if you have to silence parts of yourself to fit in, you're not belonging. You are surrendering. So watch that. How much courage do you really have? You remember I always say one man with courage is a majority. So how much do you have? You see, choosing a friend over a faction means risking social exile. Well, I am in it, self-imposed. And trust me, folks, it's exciting. Whispers behind your back. What should you do? Don't give two hoots. Being labeled as a traitor, as long as you're not a traitor yourself. What was the lesson here in terms of how much courage you really have? The cost of integrity is always less than the cost of betrayal, especially betraying yourself. Stop betraying yourself. You see, that most us versus them wars, they are fake. Factions need enemies to survive because enemies become the oxygen for their fire. They'll invent them if necessary. I know what I'm talking about, as I have been invented as an enemy many times, just because I speak up, never afraid to call out whoever for the nonsense they do. But what's the lesson here? The person you are told to hate is often just someone who chose their friend over their faction too. What about the power of walking away? That's a powerful thing, folks. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Some groups aren't worth keeping. Always remember that. So losing a faction feels like loneliness at first, until you realize you've escaped the prison of inferior company. If you ever face that choice, you won't just be, picking a side. You'll be deciding what kind of person you want to be and what kind of person you are. Choose the friend every time. You see, the world is full of factions. Real friends are rare. I am sure you would agree with me after being privy to all that I have shared on this important topic. We are not born to make friends, but to set the goddamn place on fire and walk through the smoke. Folks, I learned a long time now that one must witness things on their own. So when they speak, they do so from a position of strength. Carriacou is very dear to me. And having been there just mere weeks before Hurricane Beryl hit last year, I was distressed to fathom the beating that was put on this beautiful island with its lovely islanders. Trust me, folks, I was distressed. I was not moved to visit at all, as I really could not bear to see what state the early aftermath may have revealed. Of course, being traumatized by Ivan here in Grenada, Katrina and Wilma in Miami, I really could not, in my mental state of remembering the experiences of the passage of Ivan et al., folks, but more so Ivan, what the people of our sister Isles must have gone through. Needless to say, I stayed away. Fortunately, folks, a very dear friend of mine who happens to be visiting right now from the US and is from Carriacou managed to get me to accede to a request to join for a day trip. All I can say is, wow. Last Friday was that appointed day. I went and I conquered. The report that I have to bring back for you is very good and extremely positive. The nightmare, for the most part, is over for the people of Carriacou, save and except for, of course, the mangled vegetation in the several mangrove areas and the decapitated coconut trees and other, trees. At first glance, one can hardly tell that just 1 year ago, the little island may have been unrecognizable. The vegetation is coming back. The roads are cleared and everything, every one of them, normal, traversable, and clean. Many, if not all, of the more organized to even opulent homes have been re-roofed, refurbished, and totally reset. The various Build Back Better homes are standing out with their occupants steeped in gratitude and total appreciation. Of course, there are those whose houses are still beneath tops, the reasons for which I could not discern, as my day trip was too short to ascertain the true reasons for such. But when one thinks of the reports reaching us here in Grenada regarding the extent of the devastation in Carriacou, one can only commend our resident government representative and his entire team in the Ministry of Carriacou Affairs for their stewardship, together with the people of Carriacou, both at home and abroad, for their efforts which paid high dividends to the restoration of this gem of a Grenadine island. I went and was able to drive extensively through Carriacou to witness for myself that all the nonsense we are hearing from the paid drakes that people are suffering must not be taken as truth on the surface. Yes, there must be some residual discomfort for some people still. But it is only 1 year since this massive devastation occurred. Everybody cannot be helped at the same time. And so the people who are in need, listen to me carefully, you ought to take care. You ought to be taken care of one at a time as you present your case to the government. They can only help one at a time. This nonsense that is peddled out there by illiterates and virtual retards, that the insurance money collected by government is for people and for them to get free house or to rebuild their houses and businesses, is nothing but illiterate nonsense, hogwash. People who have managed to have their own homes, regardless as to whether it's a boathouse, a little ward house, a skirt and blouse, as they used to be called in the colonial period, with wood on top and concrete below. Hello. You reach that far? You need to understand the importance of insurance as a desirable annual expense. It's not just owning a house, because look at what happened with Beryl. So in the event something like Beryl passes again, or you experience some other form of disaster, maybe a fire, you can rebuild from the payment of your claim. That is what insurance is for. And that is what the government had insurance for. The government did not pay insurance to build you a house and to build back your business and to give you a hand up. Hell no. We'll talk about that a little later on here. You see, all this kind of discussion and verbiage that we are hearing are the results of illiteracy and damn foolism. People went to school. They say they went to school, but their favorite subjects was break time, let out, school over, and holiday. They got distinctions in those four. So they passed through the system for how many ever years you go to school for, and they came out foolish. Anybody with a modicum of sense must know that you have to take care of yourself. The government will step in to give you a hand up if you need a hand up. But you can't just throw yourself at the mercy of government. What about the man that was staying in the pig pen here in Grenada for long in a certain constituency? Ivan came, he had to move because he always get demolished. He had to convert his pig pen into living quarters. Who rescued him? The old drakes representing these nastinesses. They didn't know about that. How many years Ivan gone? And this man only recently got rescued by the National Democratic Congress led by the decent Mitchell. Deacon Mitchell. You get a message? It's only a year. We have to know that government owes us nothing. You see, that was the thing used by the National Nasty Party and that old nastiness of a leader. You didn't realize he was entrapping you for his vote farm, turn you into dependents and people that are totally entitled and you feel he like you. All that time he mash you up. You have no future. He daunted your whole future, mash up your life, put you on hold, because all you good for is to vote for him and his goons. And you didn't even realize that. But let's proceed. Government's insurance money is not for you. It is to help to restart the economy after such disasters. Roads to be cleared and repaired. They have to be paid to do so. Farms to be subsidized so they can get moving again, so we can feed ourselves. Government buildings to include all ministries, police stations, schools, health centers, et al., to be re-roofed and refurbished, and infrastructure to be restored. You see, a lot of you old dunce drakes, you don't know that government is a business. In fact, it's the biggest business in any country. It is just not a commercial business, because it secures its income by taxes, which are enshrined in law, which we must pay. But people have to manage the resources. And this administration found it necessary to pay high premiums so that when claimed, we will get big rewards. Nonsense. We have to understand that Grenlec is now owned by the state for the most part, majority. But Nawasa is owned by us too. Suppose their insurance is not enough. Government has to be able to help subsidize these two entities, because they are important public utilities. So if they need help for restoration in quick time, the government must step in. And that is why government paid insurance. That's why they got that settlement from insurance. They didn't get no settlement from insurance to give you no goddamn house. Government's insurance money is not to re-roof and repair your private house. Side by side with government's responsibilities for restoring its services and facilities to the people that it serves is a social program to assist the poor and vulnerable to get back on their feet. All you've got to do is register for assistance through the social development programs on offer. The insurance is not for that. Take a number and wait your turn, as no government can ever afford to help all of you at the same time. It is always one at a time and in order of priority. So when you hear all these Drake-like virtual retards spouting nonsense on their various lives, don't even think of listening to them with any pinch of salt. Just don't listen, because they're talking rubbish. What a lot of their kind need to know is that the monthly constituency allowance of EC $10,000 each elected member of parliament receives is not for them to spend on shopping online. It is to help them with their work in the constituency and to assist poor and vulnerable constituents. It is not for them to be posing with portrait pictures with little bag and lipstick and eyeshadow and a whole set of makeup and inferior wig and weave and all kind of goddamn nonsense. Poor and vulnerable people in the constituency, y'all need to go line up and tell them you come for help. The EC $10,000 they get per month is to help you. Go and ask them for help. The 10 on the government side get it each month, and they help their constituents. You on the other side, stop blindly supporting your MPs while they're shopping on Shein and every day on a new live with a new outfit and little matching bag, while you sucking salt but still remaining loyal to them. Oh God, among you dotish we? Remember their boss done tell them already. When you all come with cap in hand, begging because things bad, empathize with you, but don't give you anything so you could suffer and blame the sitting government of Deacon Mitchell. And when election comes around, you could vote for the NNP to get them back in office. This is tobacco well pressed. In the meantime, the old nastiness and crew don't care whether your belly touching your back with hunger or starvation. Yet for all you following them. All you retarded we? On a positive note, folks, I was able to meet up with an ardent follower of mine on social media. Oh man, it was so lovely. Mrs. Agatha Jordan. What a lovely soul. Quite consistent, I must say. What you see is what you get. The vibes I picked up from her online are very consistent with the vibes I received in person. May God continue to bless this lovely woman and her homestead. I am so glad we have connected, and now I can safely say she is my friend for life. Mavis Kojo, it was lovely spending all day Friday with you. Your company was so enjoyable and your breakfast was so filling and delectable. I'm still full. Your sweet hand will always be remembered and cherished, I dare say. How could I go to Carriacou and not look up Scraper, my great long-standing friend? It was really lovely seeing him for the brief time we spent together. So, folks, I admonish you, take a trip to Carriacou for yourself. Accommodations are there, man. They have places that you could stay. Mermaid Tavern is back up. Places are available. Places are available. Take that trip for yourself, and you will see the remarkable job done so far by all Carriacouans on island, together with the active assistance they receive from all kayaks living abroad. Together with the assistance they receive from all of us down here in Grenada, from the Trinis, from the world, the people who chipped in to help. Trust me, folks, whatever assistance you gave to Carriacou was well placed, and it was placed in safe hands to bring the story of its restoration to this great point today, just 1 year after the fact. Wow is all I can say. The government of Grenada must be commended for a great job indeed. You all remember when burial was happening, the Prime Minister took full command and control. He didn't go and hide. He spent the whole night in the emergency room taking charge. That is something to remember. Not like the old nastiness that you couldn't find. The government of Grenada must be commended for a great job indeed. The elected representative for Carriacou, Tevin Andrews, hats off to you and your entire team in the ministry for the yeoman service you are delivering to ensure Carriacou returns to normalcy. I am ready to resume my regular visits to Carriacou after this very pleasant fact-finding one-day visit. 3 cheers to the people of Carriacou. You have done well. Folks, you see, I can afford to speak like this because I'm not looking for a friend. I don't want none. My line is enough. I have my own tribe. We are not born to make friends. We were born instead to set the goddamn place on fire and walk through the smoke. I am in, I'm out, and I'm gone. Thanks for joining. Continue to share. See you next week at the same time, same place for more extraordinary programming. Until then, stay safe, stay well, remain vigilant, stay lifted and focused. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Just type in my name, no fake nothing. My name, Edward or Eddie Frederick. Subscribe, like, and share. And be prepared to receive your mental multivitamins as straight up as I deliver them. Folks, have a great one. Remember, July starts on Tuesday. Have a great new month. All the very best to all of you. Keep sharing, keep sharing. One love. All the best.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This has been EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
There are some interesting specials available at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart while stocks last. Take advantage of these specials as they assist you to stretch your limited funds.
The Country Cool Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Need a personal integrity booster shot? Your prescription is right here. Tune in with Eddie Frederick every week. Information is power.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.